I've been doing some business travel and some of us picked up a cold that turned into a sinus infection, and mine has just lingered in the back of my throat, but it's starting to show up under my eyes and I think it looks terrible. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that I use to cover them up. I'm all set with a clean face, and as you can see, hopefully you can see this, these eye troughs below my eye are just more pronounced right now and just a little more sickly looking. Maybe they're a little deeper right here from having the sinus infection. So I'm going to go in with my trusty Pixie corrector in the brightening peach, and I'm using an e.l.f. brush. All products will be listed in the description box below the video. And I'm going to go in very gently here with the brush and even go into the inner corner. And then after I do that, I'm going to bring some of it down below that area just to get a nice blend. And then smooth it out, pat it out with my ring finger. If I have any redness here, I can put that in here as well. For foundation today, I'm using the Clinique Even Better in the color Breeze. This is pretty much a full coverage foundation, and this color is a cool color. So for those of you who prefer a cool color and every time you buy a foundation it's too orange or too yellow on you, and if you're fair skin, you might like this one, but check out the link in the description box below to check out all the colors it comes in, and definitely check out the colors in a store so you can test them out in case you're cool color but you need a color that's darker than this or lighter than this. And I'm just going to smush it around. I especially like to get it gently with my warm finger into that area that I just covered so nicely. And then I'm going to go over it with a brush. I'm using a flat brush by e.l.f. And because my eyesight is waning, I'm going to take a 10 times magnifier and check out, especially where I have pores, if I missed any area. And that looks pretty good. In all my other videos that I've done with the tear troughs, I'm not using a concealer, but I'm going to use one this time, especially because Clinique in their Even Better line does have a concealer. This is their all over concealer in their Even Better line, also in Breeze, so you can get the exact same color. And I'm just going to pat some of that in here just for a little extra coverage. And what I'm going to use to pat that in is a slightly damped beauty sponge. Now, if these are too wet for me, even if I rinse it, squeeze it out, roll it in a towel a few times, it's still too wet. So this is still damp from when I washed it yesterday after I used it. So I found that is a much better way for me to use a sponge so that it still has that little bit of dampness, but not wet. So again, I need a close-up mirror to see what I'm doing. It looks pretty good. Now I'm going to give that a few minutes to sit, a couple minutes before I set it. And what I'm going to do now is some contouring. I'm using an Anastasia Beverly Hills contour stick in Mink. Just going to do a little bit of this, because when my face starts looking old here, it starts looking old here. Oh my gosh, how did this happen? Okay, just put a little bit of that. Then I have an EcoTools flat buffing brush. And I'm just going to buff that out and hope that I can see what I should see in the jowl area. I'm just buffing that toward my ear, but I didn't draw it all the way to my ear. And below the lip, and on the sides of the nose, for me. And then I'm going to use a highlighter that's non-shimmer. This is my favorite. It's the EMLIN Under Eye Cover Cream, but I use it as a highlighter. I'm almost out of it, but it stays creamy all the way to the bottom. This was actually, the one you buy is bigger than this. This is one that I got as a freebie, as a gift. So I'm just going to put it on either side of my nose. And I'm going to do what I did in my other videos and go along that bone on my face that's right below the tear trough. So I don't want to make the tear trough super light because that will draw attention to it. So I'm just going here, and then I'm going to buff that out with another EcoTools brush, not getting the highlighter in the tear trough. All right, now I'm ready to set this area, and I'm going to start with my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, but I'm not going to spray it on my face. I'm going to spray it on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to use my ring finger to get a little bit on the finger and get a little bit on the face. And I'm going to tap, and I'm going to keep tapping until it's almost dry. And it's also allergy season, so sometimes I blow my nose a little bit more, although this cold/sinus infection isn't, it's only in the post-nasal drip stage now, so I'm not blowing my nose as much, but if I do, I put a little bit of this on my nose, and that will help set that a little more than the rest of the face. So now, as part of that, I'm using my NYX HD Finishing Powder, and it's a translucent powder with an e.l.f. brush. It's so easy to use. Just swirl some on, tap some off, and I'm just lightly tapping a little bit of powder here because at my age, a lot of powder isn't my friend. But I am going to powder some of this shiny stuff because I am going to do a powder blush. So I have my Rimmel Stay Matte. I don't spend a lot of money on powder, and I have a Real Techniques big fluffy brush. And normally I just do my cheeks and chin, but when I'm filming, I notice my nose is shiny and right in here. So I'll do a little bit more of that. And then I'm going to go in with blush. I have the Clinique. This is the Cheek Pop and the color Nude Pop. It's their lightest color, I believe. And I'm using an old Japanese brush. Okay, and then I'll go over it one more time with my big fluffy brush. And then I'm going to put the rest of my makeup on offline, and I'll be right back. So this is the finished look. Hopefully you can see through the camera and with the studio lights that I do look better. I don't look so have a cold or have a sinus infection. Now let's compare to what I look like before without makeup. And hopefully you picked up some tips and tricks for concealing that under eye, especially when you look like you're a little bit under the weather, but you're feeling pretty much okay, but you just want to look better, even if you're on a Zoom call for work. So if you like these tips and tricks, then check out one of my other videos by tapping its image on the right side of your screen, and I'll see you in the next video.